Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to look at all the Regis. Every single Regi. The Pokemon Company over in Japan have gone and revealed all of the Regis from the upcoming Sword and Shield 10 expansion. And I don't know how often I've said this, but Regigigas is hands down my favourite legendary Pokemon. I'm not a huge fan of legendary Pokemon. Generally, most of my favourites don't tend to be legendary. Regigigas, oh my word, that one is an exception. And basically, they've not done a good job in the Pokemon trading card game of making Regigigas good. We did have that Regigigas EX that I actually used to do very well at the largest tournament in Europe and then go and win a city championship, which was cool. Back in the day, Regigigas Level X was a legit deck. But recently, we've had ones like, a classic example is the one from Crimson Invasion. An underwhelming card with an ability that can't attack unless you've got, at the time, the 3 Regis on your bench. Of course, now we've got 5 Regis, and if Regigigas is going to be good, for the first time since maybe Dex Destinies or maybe Stormfront, this is going to have to be the deck that does it. And the good news is we're starting off with Regigigas, and Regigigas looks nuts. Obviously, translations from the lovely Antoine Boulet, which by now I'm assuming you all probably could have guessed. Now, we've got a gigantic retreat cost of 4 here, and we've got an attack that does for 5 energy, 150 damage, but against a VMAX, it actually does 300 damage. But bearing in mind nowadays we've got Choice Bout, and I know it's kind of super awkward, but if you whack a Choice Bout on here, you're doing 330, and that will get the majority of Pokemon VMAX. Not all of them, but it will get the majority of them. It will do a pretty good job. 300 as it is only gets the weakest VMAX, and that's actually disappointing. You will want to add a bit of damage here. But the real trick of Regigigas is the phenomenal ability Ancient Knowledge. If you have Regirock, Regice, Registeel, Regieleki, and Regidrago in play, once during your turn you may attach up to 3 energy from your discard to one of your Pokemon. Now, I've checked this with the lovely Antoine Boulet just to make sure, and this is the best possible version of this ability. No, Regigigas does not need to be active. This ability can work from the bench. No, there are not any restrictions other than you've got to have the 5 Regis in play, so you can use this every turn to go nuts with energy. And yes, it is energy, not basic energy. What that means is you can use Regigigas as an ability to accelerate 3 special energy. Now, it all has to go to one of your Pokemon. You can't spread it around different Pokemon. But basically, what this means is, as soon as you get a few energy in your discard and all 6 of the Regis out, you are going to be able to pay any free energy attack, and spoiler alert, they're all free energy attacks, and you can pay any of these free energy attacks using Regigigas' ability, which is clearly redonkulous. The good news is, being a single prize Pokemon, Path to the Peak will not turn off this ability, but do remember, in Battle Region over in Japan, they've just had that Cancelling Cologne card, which will turn off your abilities for the turn. If your opponent plays Cancelling Cologne, you will not have access to that Regigigas ability, which could shut your entire deck down. That is something you need to bear in mind. So we've got a decent attack here, and a phenomenal ability. So what are we actually attacking with? Against VMAXs, probably Regigigas with a Choice Belt, and obviously you can accelerate both Twin Energy and Double Turbo, although that 20 damage less from Double Turbo is going to end up being relevant. You have been warned, alright? But still, you can totally do it. You can accelerate, honestly, you could go kind of 2 Twin Energy and a powerful colorless energy, and now all of a sudden you're actually hitting 320, and that's kind of amazing. Just putting it out there, ladies and gentlemen. Just putting it out there. Now, in terms of the Regis, the absolute star here is Regidrago. Regidrago is ridiculous. What we've got here is a retreat cost of 3. That's going to be a theme. We'll get to that in a moment. No weakness because it's a dragon Pokemon. And for a grass, fire, colorless 160. It's a standard 160. You're not being hit for weakness. You're not hitting anything for weakness. But it's just your ordinary everyday run-of-the-mill attack. With a choice bout, you'll get support Pokemon like Crobat. It's not really doing enough damage, honestly. One thing I do actually need to mention, which is super relevant here, you can use Aurora Energy, at least until it rotates, and that means that you can pay the attack cost nicely. Remember, Aurora Energy says you can attach this card to one of your Pokemon only if you discard another card from your hand. But we have had an official ruling, it's on the rulings compendium over on Pokegym. The discard cost on Aurora Energy only applies when attaching the card from your hand. If you attach it from somewhere else, you don't have to discard a card from your hand. That was made on the Sword and Shield FAQ back in January 2020. What that means is, if you've got 3 Aurora Energy in your discard, you can attach them every turn with Regigigas. You don't need to discard in order to attach them, and they will pay like any of these attack costs. Obviously, if you find yourself against something like Duraludon, which blocks special energy, maybe don't rely on this. But if you want kind of a nice, cheeky, it can pay any attack cost, Aurora Energy will work most of the time very, very nicely here. The reason, however, why we love Regidrago so much is the ability. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may draw cards until you have 4 cards in hand. You can't use this ability if you've already used another Dragon's Horde ability this turn. I.e., you cannot use something like Scoop Up Net, pick up Regidrago, pop it back down again, and draw more cards. That will not work. As a side note, that totally will work with Regigigas, so you could, for instance, use Regigigas' ability, Scoop Up Net, play it back down, and remember it works on the bench, and then do it again. Because that's not limited, it's just once per Regigigas, and when you pick it up, it's a new Regigigas. Regidrago, however, is limited, but it's still phenomenal draw power, and Regidrago is the one card here which I really think could end up being crazy good in a non-Regigigas deck, but it's got a retreat cost of 3. With a retreat cost of 3, I'm telling you to use it with Air Balloon, and then, leave Regidrago on your bench. Every time you get KO'd, pop Regigigas active, draw a bunch of cards, retreat. It is draw power on a basic Pokemon, which we almost never see. It's crazy good, but the retreat cost absolutely just wrecks it. If Floatstone comes back, this is amazing, but that does not look like it's happening. But this ability could work in a whole bunch of decks. If you're playing enough switching, this is something to bear in mind. Now, Regieleki here is super annoying because it's got a retreat cost of 3. And we all know that retreat cost is basically kind of size of Pokemon and speed. We know that faster Pokemon tend to have free retreat in the Pokemon TCG. We know that that's a thing. Regieleki is the fastest known Pokemon. It has the highest base speed stat of any Pokemon. So why does it have a retreat cost of 3? Sorry, I know there are some things that don't make a huge amount of sense and I can get over it, but giving Regieleki a retreat cost of 3 here, it just makes no sense and makes me a little bit sad. Now, for a colorless energy, you can choose a trainer card from your discard pile, reveal it, and put it into your hand. That's fine. But you're using your attack for the turn to go and get a trainer card. You may well be giving up a prize because you're staying in the active. This is an if you're desperate kind of thing. But 2 lightning, 1 colorless, discard 2 lightning from this Pokemon, and deal 120 to one of your opponent's bench. So what we've got here is a bunch of different Regis that can do different things. Regidrago is your standard attack, and this is your hit the bench attack. 120 is not enough to get 2 prize Pokemon, but it will get the majority of support Pokemon. And again, you are discarding the energy, but Regigigas will get it back, don't worry. There is potential to play this in, for instance, a Flaffy deck if they ever become good, because you discard 2 energy, hit the bench, get them right back. This is a way of hitting the bench, and actually, in that way, it ends up being very, very similar to Raikou EX, which was a 2-prize Pokemon, that for free energy, you discarded all of them and did 120 your opponent's bench. HPs were different back then. So if you're playing a Flaffy deck, this could be to Flaffy decks what Raikou was to electric decks back in the day. So actually this one could work. If Flaffy decks ever become good, look out for this one. Here, it's your bench hitter. Regis comes along with really nice artwork. For 1 colourless energy, and all of the classic Regis, all of the Gen 3 Regis, all have this same attack. Regigate. 1 colourless energy, search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench. Hope you don't need this, frankly. Hope you don't need this. Because, basically, if you're using this is a kind of a deck where you need to get all 6 Regis out, ideally turn 1, going second, all 6 Regis out, get some energy in a discard, use Regigigas' ability, go nuts. Now remember, the fact that you got to have all 6 Regis out means Regidrago is the only draw power you're going to have from Pokemon. It seems like it might be a bit inconsistent, but this is what you need to do. You need to get all 6 Regis, use your ability, and start smashing. Turn 1 going second ideally, or turn 2 going first. If you're using Regigate, something's gone wrong. Sorry about that. Honestly, here you're thinking things like Quick Ball, and you're especially thinking things like Capture Energy, because Capture Energy, when you attach it, you get to search for a basic Pokemon, and you need your basic Pokemon here. As a side note, Capture Energy only works when you attach it from your hand, not from your discard. But then again, if you're attaching from your discard, you got a full bench, so it's a moot point anyway. But what we've really got on Regis here is 2 water, 1 colourless, 100 damage. If the defending Pokemon is a Pokemon V, and yes, that does include VMAX and V-Star, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. So basically, you get to block Pokemon V. And this is nice, but it's only 100 damage, which means you need something like a Choice Bout to be 2-hit KOing Pokemon V, which is not ideal. And also, it's kind of easily played around, honestly, because it's only the defending Pokemon. It doesn't make Regigigas immune to Pokemon V, which is generally the better way round. It makes the defending Pokemon not able to attack if it's a Pokemon V. What that means is all your opponent needs to do is go to the bench, even if they then bring the same Pokemon active right after, and they will be able to just attack again. So, I hate to break it to you, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not going brilliantly, I think is probably fair to say. I like it, but it is quite easily played around and not as reliable as we might like. We've then got Regirock. We're not going to keep going through Regigate. We've talked about that already. Regirock for 2 fighting, 1 colourless, 140 damage. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. Now, obviously, this is same attack cost, 20 damage less than Regidrago, which is clearly not an ideal situation. However, this hits a really good weakness. With a Choice Belt, you are getting a 1-hit KO on something like a Gengar VMAX. And Gengar VMAX is absolutely relevant at the moment. Although again, for like the millionth time, I'm saying if you've got a Choice Bout, be great if you didn't always need a Choice Bout, wouldn't it? Can't help it all, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, otherwise you're only hitting 280 and that's not enough. So you're not doing as much damage as Regidrago, but you are hitting a significantly better weakness, and you can't attack next turn, but use a switch, you'll be fine. And then finally, we've got Registeel, who again has Regigate, which we don't need to go into. And then we've got 2 metal, 1 colourless, Heavy Slam, 220 damage, but 50 less for each energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. So against a free retreating Pokemon, yay! You're hitting 220 damage. And actually that is relevant because Mew V has totally got free retreat. Mew V Max does as well, but you're not quite getting a KO here. But this will get a 1-hit KO on a Mew V, like straight away. And this is another Pokemon that, again, I don't think this is stunning outside of a Regi deck, but it's useful outside of a Regi deck, because you've got stuff like Metal Saucer to try and accelerate energy. That'll totally work. and then you can do 220 to a Mew V. And if you go second and get the energy on, and it's a big if, obviously, but if you can pull it off, what you're actually doing here is getting a kind of a turn 1 KO on a Mew V. That's not nothing, ladies and gentlemen. That's not nothing. Kind of awkward to pull off double Metal Saucer turn 1, but if you can do it, plus an energy, this could be kind of cool. These are awkward cards. Now, essentially, Regidrago is a great, great Pokemon with a great draw ability and an awkward retreat cost. Regieleki could be fun in Flaffy decks, and I do like Registeel just because it can one-hit KO free retreating Pokemon V, like Mew. But generally speaking, what we're doing here is playing all of them and getting a Regigigas deck going and going nuts. And if the Regigigas deck works, it is going to be great. The problem is, you need 6 specific Pokemon, you need to get the energy in a discard, you need to switch around to get the right one active, and you're probably going to need a choice bout for a lot of key KOs. There are a lot of things going against it, but believe me when I say I am absolutely going to be trying this one out. This one looks really, really fun. Might end up being rubbish, and if it is, it absolutely is. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, I think this one could be very, very good. Or at least, it's my kind of deck, and I'm going to test the bejesus out of it. Either way, I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.